Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tuesday evening meeting of our Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club. My name is Rick Starr. It's my great pleasure to introduce the president of our club, Miss Jean Symington Craig.
Welcome, all these Toastmasters. You stand up here and you just get a wave of affection. All of you guys have come out, middle of your week, it's Tuesday, people drive, people are extracting themselves from all their activities to be here tonight, every week. Actually, it's showing perseverance, which is the theme of our meeting tonight. Perseverance. Of course, sometimes perseverance has that flavor of doing something that you really don't want to be doing. And that's not really the way it is at Toastmasters. Your car may have a little difficulty getting out of the driveway or the garage at first. But once you get here, it's just very refreshing. I was talking to Tabitha about that. Because the spin of the meeting is different from all your other activities, and that kind of puts a nice spin, counter spin on your day. Okay, so it takes you out of what you've been doing and helps you really feel refreshed by the time you get to bed. So again, thank you for coming. We meet here, hello Nirja. We meet here every Tuesday, 7:45 to 9:15. We are in the Hy-Vee Community Room on the west side of the store. Practice that, so I didn't say square. West side of the store. And we welcome everyone to come in. Those of viewers at home, if you'd like to come and visit with us, more than welcome. We'll make the qualification that the Tuesday, December 22nd, we are not going to be having a meeting. Just because people are going to be traveling and otherwise being even more active than they normally are. So just those of you that are home, please take note of that. Members in the room, please take note of that. Do we have any guests here tonight?
Sorry.
No.
I talked to somebody yesterday, invited them.
Yes. So how many people mentioned Toastmasters this last week? Not just to say I'm going to Toastmasters tonight, but actually, okay, good, we have some, okay, so this side of the room looks a little more, All right, I just want to say that, how many people listen to NPR? Somewhere in their day, NPR, National Public Radio. Well, they have their fund drives. They're in the middle of one right now, and they make this point, and it just seems like I wanted to say this to all of us. They make this point that we are member sponsored. We don't have advertisements, we don't have to pay money, we don't owe anybody anything, but we are sponsored by our members, you, the listening audience. Without your support, we don't exist. So that's what they say on NPR. I think about our club. Our club, we don't have advertisements, we don't have lobbying or anything like that going on. We don't have to pay anybody anything, but this is our club, and it exists because we support it. We talk it up, we invite people. So yes, so it's great that we invite people, but that is what we want to be doing. And so just kind of be looking as we head into our holiday season. You're getting together with friends and families and having all that fun, at all the little coffee shops and, shopping and all of that. It's a great time to mention Toastmasters because guaranteed we will get past the holidays, the grim reality of we are now the same person or very similar to the same person, somewhat not as developed as we would have liked as we were at this time last year, and what a great time to go to Toastmasters and start that year out right. Okay, so putting that little bug out there for everybody so you can know that you're an ambassador for Toastmasters during this holiday season and as we head into our new year. with that, I'm going to hand our meeting over to our Toastmaster for the evening, Jyotiraj Adhikari.
Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, I'm your Toastmaster tonight. My role is to keep this meeting moving. And my role is to see if the meeting starts on time, it did, and ends on time. We have a theme every day, in every meeting. So today's theme is perseverance. Never give in. Never, 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 never. Winston Churchill. So that's the quote of the day. With that, I would like to introduce the role player of the day. The first, I would like to call our timer to tell about her role and what's he gonna do and how would it be.
I am the timer for today's evening. I'll be turning on the green. The table topics are for 1 to 2 minutes, and the green light will be turned on at 1 minute, and the yellow light will be turned on. Okay, there it is. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds, and the red light will be turned on 2 minutes. Prepared speeches are usually 5 to 7 minutes, and green light will be turned on at 5 minutes, and yellow light at 6 minutes, and red light will be turned on at 7 minutes. Evaluation are for 3 minutes, and the green light will be turned on at 2 minutes, and the yellow will be turned on at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the red light will be on at 3 minutes. Thank you.
Our timer is Andal Krishna. I forgot to tell her name, sorry about that. Our grammarian tonight is Rick Starr. Rick, will you please come and give us the detail of what you're going to do.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. The word of the day is stamina. Stamina is the ability to sustain prolonged physical or mental effort. A couple of examples. He had the stamina to finish the 26-mile marathon. Example physical. She had the stamina to complete medical school. I'll finish. I'll be counting the word of the day. I'll also look for any good use of the language and any uses of the language that need correction. Mr. Toastmaster.
Our next role player is Tabitha Segwick. She is our founder. Tabitha, will you please tell us about your role?
Good evening. I will be counting and recording any filler words that I hear from anyone tonight, and then I'll report that to you at the end of the evening. Thank you.
Our general evaluator is Jean Symington Craig. We'll hear from her later in the meeting. Our greeter and joke master is Nirza Maheshwari. We'll hear a joke from her later in the meeting. As usual, we have 3 parts. The first is our previous speech, and second is the evaluation, and the third is the table topics, and we'll have the report at the end, and we'll have general evaluator's evaluation, and our president closing comments, and we'll end the meeting at 9:50. With that, I would like to call. With that, we'll start our prepared speech portion of the meeting. I'd like to call Ryan Prana Miller to evaluate, to read objectives of the word straw. How do you say it last?
Straw.
Straw. Okay. The word straw.
Thank you. Tonight is Deward's 5th speech in his advanced manual of storytelling. And the objectives are to understand the purpose of stories about historical events or people, and to use storytelling skills developed in the preceding projects to tell a story about a historical event or person. And Deward is from Nome, Alaska, and he studied Rome's glorious past in movies and libraries there. He was born and raised in Alaska, and he's moved to Kentucky in '96 and returned to studying in St. Catherine College. And then he transferred to Shimer College, which is in Illinois, where he studied more of the great books of the Western tradition. Deward is an entrepreneur, and he is a current independent distributor of Zija International. You may be familiar with it. You can ask him about it later, I'm sure, if you're interested. He joined Toastmasters to improve his public speaking and leadership skills, and was fortunate to find Golden Speakers in Iowa when he moved here. The outstanding men of Rome were great orators, excellent writers, and inspiring leaders, and for countless other reasons, Deward is interested in studying Roman history. He calls himself a Romanophile. So that's where I'd like to stop and warmly welcome Deward Straub to the podium.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. It's a great pleasure. I'm going to share with you some of what I know about one of the great men of Rome who had incredible stamina to achieve all that he did. Imperator Julius Caesar has excited the imagination for millennia. He was a part of the most powerful ruling class the world has ever known, able to create his own world and be entirely himself. The goddess Fortuna favored him, so he wagered his future. He borrowed outrageous sums of money to influence voters. He told his mother, "If I am not elected Pontifex Maximus, I'll be ruined." When he became supreme priest of Rome, his fame and influence spread. He bankrupted himself, lending money to anyone in debt. One man owed so much money, even Caesar could not help him. "What this man needs is a civil war," said Caesar. That statement, his popularity with the people and discord with the Senate, foreshadowed war. He fought with the Senate and won governorship of Gaul, modern France. It was imperative that he secure this position to erase his debt and amass a fortune. He waged war for 9 years until he conquered the province. And when he was ready to return to political life, the Senate wanted to strip him of power and prosecute him. To preserve his dignitas, his honor, he started and won a civil war. The Senate gave him the title of dictator, but then out of fear and misguided patriotism, slaughtered him on the 15th of March, 44 BCE. My study of Julius Caesar is a meditation on the overman. German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "And thus spoke Zarathustra, the overman is the meaning of the earth." Excellent human beings are heavy drops falling from the thundercloud, but the overman is the lightning. Historian Theodore Mommsen interpreted the whole course of Roman history as leading up to Caesar and staged his appearance as an epiphany. Think of the Overman as beyond good and evil, destroying for the pleasure of creation. Caesar's preternatural abilities were not blunted by pity or the need for happiness. He increased his power by self-mastery, risking everything, and feeding on the energy of the world he created for himself as master of Gaul, and rose on a mountain of bodies and gold till he towered over all men. Intimately related to the idea of the Overman is the concept of eternal recurrence, saying yes to life. Imagine Caesar saying yes to his daughter Julia dying in childbirth, epilepsy, countless casualties of war sacrificed to his ambition, millions, and his own assassination. Now, if he said no, he would simply be a bridge to the Overman. He would be refusing prodigious wealth, pride of lineage, a superior mind, euphoria of domination, and a triumph. What could be more intoxicating? Imagine a procession of the spoils of war, treasure, prisoners, and exotic beasts. Visualize Caesar riding behind this procession in a chariot, and a man holding a laurel crown over his head, whispering, "You are mortal. You are mortal." Imagine the pleasure of living a life so well, there's no desire to alter a single moment of it. Instead of remaining within the boundaries of acceptable behavior, Caesar reached immeasurably high above him for his true self. His life for millennia has been most worthy of emulation, constant study, and reconstruction in literature. He lived in a decadent age and could so easily have given himself over to simple pleasures and just disappeared from the pages of history. Instead, he chose danger, elevation, and won himself a place among the gods of Rome's pantheon. He was fearless. When a man was running from a fight, Caesar would grab him by the neck, turn him around, and throw him back into the battle. It had been 700 years since a Roman was deified. The first was Romulus, founder of Rome. Caesar was believed to have been a descendant of the goddess Venus. His deification illuminates the history of Rome. We have briefly explored the life, the death, and the deification of Gaius Julius Caesar, a man feared, marveled at by the people in his own time. Battled with the Senate to gain control of Gaul and amass the power he needed to challenge them because he was a man of vision. The Senate alarmed by his rapid advancement to the military, popularity with the people. This alarmed them. And the nerve of the sense of destiny, and of course self-preservation, and of course, very important in Roman times, to preserve one's dignitas, After great meditation, this wasn't done lightly, he started and won a civil war. The Senate, not sharing his vision, believing themselves to be the rightful rulers of Rome, killed him in the House of the Senate. Augustus, after terminating the assassins of Caesar, he was heir to Caesar. He deified Caesar. Augustus elevated himself to first man of Rome by eliminating his opponents and raising his father to divinity. Caesar said of his army, "These legions can tear down the sky." Toastmasters, viewers at home,
So we'll take 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker. 2 minutes. Our next speaker is Emery Steyer. I'd like to call Art Atkinson to read objectives of Emery's speech.
Thank you, Jyoti Raj. Our next speaker, Emery Steyer, is going to give us a fascinating talk titled "The Man Behind the Painting" about the artwork of Grant Wood. This is Competent Communication Project number 7 researcher topic. Among the key objectives for Emery in this particular project is that he provides opinions and information based on a variety of different resources that he's researched and a variety of different kinds of background information to support the opinions and the points that he brings out. He's also tasked himself with using a visual aid, a self-timed PowerPoint slideshow, and to speak in such a way that he's speaking appropriately to each slide as it automatically comes up. So this is a very intriguing and complex project. Emery Steyer has been a member of this club for most of this year. He's currently VP of Membership. He's been a practicing journalist in the small town newspaper business for many years. He's currently working as a freelance columnist and writer, and if I remember correctly, has also been a journalistic instructor at Iowa Wesleyan. Let's please help me warmly welcome Emery Steyer to give us the man behind the painting.
Thank you, Art. And good evening, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. Grant Wood's American Gothic is one of the world's most famous paintings and also one of the most parodied. But how much do we know about the Iowan who created it? Grant Wood liked to portray himself as a folksy artist in overalls. He claimed he got his best ideas while he was milking cows, but I want to let you in on a secret. He wasn't really all that simple. Let me share with you tonight some of the things I've learned about his life, his artistic influences, and where you can see his work. He was born in Anamosa, Iowa, near Cedar Rapids in 1891. His father was a stern Quaker farmer, but his father died in 1910, and the mother moved the family to Cedar Rapids, which was nearby. She encouraged Grant's art, and so did his early teachers. He early on was influenced by the Arts and Crafts School of Design. After high school, he went to Minneapolis and studied at a handicraft school. He also went to Chicago and learned metalworking and jewelry making.
He was a camouflage artist in World War I for the Army. After the war, he taught school in Cedar Rapids, art of course, and he made 3 trips to Paris in the 20s to study the Impressionist style of painting. That really raised his status, which was already high in Cedar Rapids. His paintings were in demand, and so was his metal sculpture in homes and businesses there. In 1928, he made a trip to Germany where he studied the work of the Northern Renaissance masters. They painted in the 1400s, 1500s. Their style had a very clear images as opposed to the Impressionist kind of work he had been doing. They depicted local people and places. Their paintings often told a story. The art historian Wanda Korn says this marked a big departure in Grant Wood's work. He decided to use that same approach when he returned to Iowa. It was a reaction against Cubism, abstract art, and the European influence. So he went with it. These are some of the paintings in his new style. They won awards. They attracted lots of attention. He was identified with the regionalist school in American art, along with Thomas Hart Benton and John Stuart Curry. In 1930, at Eldon, Iowa, he sketched a house with a Gothic window that he liked. It reminded him of the medieval buildings in Europe. When he got back to Cedar Rapids, he posed his dentist and his sister in front of the house, kind of stretched out their faces, and created American Gothic. That created a sensation and worldwide fame for Grant Wood. It helped that it was controversial. Some people thought it was mocking Iowa farm people. Others thought it was a tribute to the Midwestern character. It also helped that newspapers had figured out how to send images by wire, so that picture went all over the country and gave him overnight worldwide fame. And that picture really made Grant Wood and set off one of the most fertile periods in his artistic life. He followed up with iconic Iowa paintings like Young Corn, Arbor Day, which we find on the state quarters, Herbert Hoover's birthplace, which Herbert Hoover didn't like. He was born in that tiny house in the center, and he didn't want the big house to show. Grant had interest in history. Here's the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere, a bird's eye view, a satirical painting mocking the daughters of American Revolution. We got the founding fathers in drag. He'd crossed swords with them earlier. And then a strange take on the George Washington cherry tree fable. His fame got him a job teaching art at the University of Iowa and another job as director of the Public Works Art Project, which put murals in public buildings in the Depression. But all wasn't well. He was drinking a lot. He was giving so many speeches he hardly had time to paint. He made an unwise marriage. And then he fell ill and died of pancreatic cancer in 1942. But he left us a wonderful treasury of art. You can see some at the Hy-Vee Museum in Davenport, which has a great collection. So does the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art. They have his paintings, his metalwork, and his jewelry. A thing I especially like, I toured last week, was number 5 Turner Alley. He had a studio upstairs there. It was a carriage house. He remodeled the hayloft into a studio. He lived there with his mother and his sister, painted many of his masterpieces there. If you want to see American Gothic, it's been at the Chicago Art Institute since 1930. They paid $300 for it. If nothing else, make that short trip to Eldon and visit the Gothic House and the Gothic House Center. While you're there, think about American Gothic. Is it a satire? Is it a tribute? Is it something else? What are those people really thinking? think about Grant Wood. I think he was far from a simple artist in overalls. He was a complex man, a deep thinker. He had many influences, and he was skilled in many media. He left us a wonderful trove of art, many iconic Iowa scenes. 2016 will be the 125th anniversary of Grant Wood's birth. There's going to be many exhibits and events around Iowa. You're going to have a chance to see his works in person, and don't pass up that chance. Thank you.
We'll take 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker. Madam Timer, would you tell us which speaker qualified and which didn't?
Well, both speakers qualified. Stu was for on the dot 9 minutes, and Emery was at 6 minutes and 48 seconds.
Okay, both the speaker qualified. Duarte Storr and Emery Tyler. I will please vote for the speaker, best speaker. Now I'd like to call upon Jean Symington Craig, our general evaluator, to continue our next portion of the meeting.
That was really outstanding speeches. We heard about two really great men in different time zones completely. So really well done. We're now going to have our evaluators get a little bit into the details of how those speeches went, giving positive comments and also suggestions for improvement. Our first evaluator is Ryan Prana Miller, evaluating Duarte Storr.
Alright, so the speech was, in my opinion, the best speech I've heard Duarte give at this club. I think it's maybe only the second speech, but still, best speech. I don't know how many speeches you've given. I'm just going to go down the objectives of the speech and go talk about each one. Was the plot story clear? This is the one thing that I would say you got 100% on. I mean, I know he told the story of Caesar and how he was a debt. He would take debt on and pay it off, and how he went through and went to war and everything. I just think it would have been good for you to, well, I'll go into that later, but it was fairly clear, but not 100%. I think you did a great job starting out real low-key and then building up to this climax of using your volume and and the story of how he wagered his future for a battle. So I think you definitely nailed that. Did the speaker develop the characters? You talked about only a couple characters, the debtor, the man who basically incited this war, and then Caesar, of course. And I think you did develop the characters well by talking about how they, the actions that led to his success or failure, depending on how you want to look at it. I mean, definitely a success in amassing wealth, but lots of people died as a result. So I think your vocal variety was just that was a home run right there. You were really using your vocabulary, a lot of good word usage. I don't think you used the word stamina, but maybe you snuck it in there somewhere. I don't know. Did you gain greater insight into the historical event or person the speaker was talking about? I'd say definitely yes. I learned a lot about Caesar and his history and about, you don't need to learn exactly what I learned about, but Does everybody feel like you learned something about historically, about what that you may not have known? Yeah, I definitely. It gave me a perspective about that time in history, 44 BC. Is that what you said? Yeah. Also, how effectively did the speaker use vocal variety while telling the story? Did the speaker use any distracting gestures or mannerisms? I think you were fairly consistent. I think you were very consistent with your gestures. You were, I don't know if you had the podium here, but you definitely used, you were very comfortable if you're walking around and just talking, you seemed very animated physically and using your gestures, so yeah, very dynamic. So overall, I'd say great use of vocal variety and maybe less, or be more clear with the plot in terms of just kind of emphasizing, maybe repetition would be good a couple times, like repeat at the end again what we learned. But yeah, I had really a lot of criticisms besides that, so thank you. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Our next evaluator is Art Atkinson, who will be evaluating our second speaker, Emery Stein.
Thank you, Jean, and thank you, Emery. That was an exemplary talk. To have added to everything else that he had to do, his request was that I watch how well did he speak naturally about a subject which wasn't actually his own personal experience. And he did an excellent job of making the material his own, expressing his interest in the subject as if it was his own experience. He also timed everything beautifully. It wasn't absolutely perfect, and I bet you with practice you could get it even more perfectly timed. But for a first run, it was just superb how well your timing matched and that you were speaking about the subjects that were in front of us on the slideshow. Let me go through the points that the manual asks. How well do the speakers of the topic apply to us? We're all in Iowa, and this is probably the most famous Iowa painter. It applied beautifully. Was the topic well researched? I said yes. How well did the speaker support his main points? The nice thing about him, about the material that he used to support his points, was that it was contemporary opinion. The opinion of people at the time as reflected in newspaper articles that he showed us. That was one of the strongest points in support of the appropriateness of the material that he was using to support his points. Did he vary the types of support material? Well, he had photos, he had pictures of the man at work, he had newspaper articles, he had as wide a variety as I can imagine. He had actual photos of the paintings themselves in a variety of the styles that Grant painted him. How clear was his purpose? His purpose was clearly to inform us and probably to arouse some of his own enthusiasm for Grantwood's work in us. Was the speech effectively organized? This is where I thought was one of the best aspects of your talk. You opened up with a bang with the humor slides of all the different parodies of that great painting. Then you moved on to his origins, and then to his education, and then to his early career, and then to what propelled him into a period of fame, and then to the problems that he led himself into, and to his death, and to the legacy that he left behind us. And every part of those was dealt with both in the text that you spoke and the slides materials. So it was well organized. Did he take advantage of body language and vocal variety? Not more or less so than you have before, but you're very easy to listen to, very comfortable to listen to. if there was one suggestion that I could make about what could be improved, that would be arrange to have a monitor or a screen showing so that you're not looking at the screen with us. That's a minor point. And most of the time when you were speaking and looking at the screen, you were actually talking to this part of the audience and glancing at the screen, so you weren't totally back to us. So thanks very much. Great talk. Look forward to more from you.
Thank you.
This is Jim in the back.
Excellent, excellent evaluations. Now we're going to change it up a little bit, and we're going to bring in our table topics master for the evening, none other than Mr. Will Burns.
Thank you, Jean. This is the portion of our meeting where we mix things up. It used to be the hors d'oeuvres, now it's like the, I don't know, the digestive the meeting, the post-meal snack.
The aperitif.
Aperitif, thank you. So I will ask for volunteers from the audience, or I will call on you if I don't get enough enthusiasm. And if I see somebody who has the stamina for this kind of work, this kind of task. Bear in mind, you have 30 seconds before, or I'm going to give you the question, or the question, and you have 30 seconds to answer. So you can sit up here and think for 30 seconds, up to that, and then speak off the cuff, relatively speaking. I have 6 questions tonight, and I will say they relate to our theme tonight of perseverance. So with that, do I have any volunteers in the audience? Tabitha, great.
I was just gonna ask, if somebody could remind me about the lights and when I'm.
Yes, actually we'll have our timer give a quick report on the lights. Is it, it's,
1 minute will be the green and 1 minute and 30 seconds will be yellow and red will be 2.
yep, and then you have 30 seconds grace period after that. Okay, you have the option to pick between 1 and 6.
6.
All right. From my dad, I learned to be good to people, to always be honest and straightforward. I learned hard work and perseverance. That was a quote by Luke Bryan. What is something you learned from your father or your mother? How have you applied that in your own life? Got it?
Something that I've learned from my mother. You mentioned in your quote, always be good to people. Well, similar to that, my mother was always telling the truth, always wanting the truth to be told. So in our family, she actually, oddly enough, became sort of a black sheep because the culture of her family and her nuclear unit was don't rock the boat. Keep calm, don't bring up the bad stuff, let's not have any conflict, let's keep the peace. But my mom couldn't stand that. If there was something that wasn't right or someone that wasn't being treated right, she definitely spoke up. And not in the way that anyone would really appreciate in her nuclear family. But that's something that I've taken from her and I very much appreciate. I'm a very straightforward person. I will always tell you the truth. And I will always stand up for anyone that needs that kind of support. Thank you very much.
All right, we got 5 more. Who is my next volunteer? Here, Jeff. Thank you. these are quotes. Pick a number between 1 and 5. All right.
5.
5. All right. Of all that is good, sublimity is supreme. Succeeding is the coming together of all that is beautiful. Furtherance is the agreement of all that is just. Perseverance is the foundation of all actions. That was by Lao Tzu. My question to you is, what is good in life? And why is this important?
What is good
In life to you, and why is that important?
fellow Toastmaster, guest at home, we don't have guests, but viewers at home, good evening. What is good, I forgot.
Yep. What is good in life? What do you feel is good in life? Why is that important?
So family is good. I feel if you don't have a family to support in your hard time and share happiness with you, then I feel it's for me, it's a family is most important for me, and having family, sharing all the bad times and happy times. It's can I change my thing?
Go for it. Segue.
Today is a beautiful day, I feel. It was sunny and nice. I wanted to go for a walk, and I went to Chin to just for walking because outside was a little cold but it was sunny. So today I discovered that walking backward, it gives you different kind of exercise because it uses different muscles of the body. And I really discovered that and I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Something time looks like family, and the goodness of find something new as well. Thank you for sharing that. Who is my next volunteer?
Helga.
Perfect.
Helga.
Joseph. Pick a number.
3.
Okay, 3 is another quote. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to make the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. That was a quote by the basketball great Michael Jordan.
So Michael Jordan. Toastmasters and viewers at home. Failure. What is failure? That's the question. Nothing is failure. It's just a state of mind. How you feel you fail, because you make a blueprint that this is the success. And you want to reach there, and if you can't reach there, then you think you failed. The journey is important here. How Michael Jordan did his journey. He was traveling, doing his journey. He was playing, missing the shots. A lot of failures. That was not failures, that was journey. He was enjoying his journey. He didn't see what he gonna do there, but each and every step he was enjoying. So those were not failure. Those were the path of success. There's nothing failure. There's nothing called failure. There's nothing as failure. Everything is success. Because he learned by doing. When he when he missed, he learned. If he do like this, you'll miss. He didn't try that again.
Yeah.
He tried this way. I mean, all these things he tried were the practice, not the failure. Like Edison, Thomas Alva Edison, he said he failed for 1,000 times. He learned. Every time he learned, if I do this, I'll not be successful. I'll not be successful. So he learned every time the new way of doing things. So what I think is, if you take every step as the steps toward your success, then that's all you have to do. One day you'll be there where you want to be.
Thank you. It's funny you would bring up Edison. I actually did not include him today in my quotes. That's a big spoiler. But I did just actually read about that quote today because of the new exciting developments in material sciences. So we have time for at least one more. One more. Who will be my final? All right, fine.
All right, let's hit it.
You got it.
You just pick for me. You're always
All right.
asking me to pick Reese.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Well, how many are left?
Two.
Four.
You can do two.
So it's 50-50.
Okay.
Blackjack.
Okay, I'll do this one. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Then quit. There's no use being a darn fool about it. Like W.C. Fields.
All right.
Tell me if you agree with that or no. Or
Yeah, okay, thank you. The first thing that comes to mind is that from personal experience, I had a goal of being a millionaire at some point in my life. I think I was just thinking, oh yeah, this is great, I'll be a millionaire. And I chose different paths to get there. One of the paths was a fruitless path, and I gave up at the end of maybe a year of efforts in this business program that was not, it was kind of a get rich quick, one of those get rich quick things that you get in the mail or something, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be it. And I tried it for 6 months, and it just wasn't for me. So I gave up. And so in personal experience, just a little story about making wealth, amassing wealth to become a millionaire. I didn't figure out how to do it. My story was, I don't think I have a minute left, but it was stock market day trading. You might have heard of these day traders that are like they're scalping the market. Their time in 30 seconds. They're in $2,000-$3,000 and they're out. They make $100. So I was like, day trading is gonna be my get rich quick scheme, and it didn't work. So I said, you know what? This is what was the quote again? If you at first you don't succeed, try again, and then give up, or because you don't want to make a darn fool of yourself or lose all of your investment. So I did. There's another quote that comes to mind from some other book. I think it was something similar that I read. It was at first you don't succeed, fry a hen. Anybody remember that? Maybe I should go into cooking or something. Try based on that quote. Fry a hen instead of doing the stock market. So that's try again and then give up. So thanks for entertaining my story about stamina and perseverance.
It's funny, actually, I've heard that commodities traders, they make money about 19 out of 20 times, and the 20th time they lose everything. So,
Lose them all.
lose it all. And now, my great pleasure to call our Toastmaster back up here again, Jyotiraj Adhikar. Actually, stop. Jyoti, we'll see you later in just a little bit. But first, did our table topics speakers qualify? Their names, please, if they did.
Tabitha, 1 minute and 10 seconds. Nirja, 1 minute.
Just the names,
No,
please.
just you have to.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Tabitha, Nirja, Jyoti went 2 minutes and 10 seconds, I'm not sure.
He's good.
Ryan, 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
15? Okay. Yep, please vote
Speak
for,
up. I can't hear who qualified.
yep, the people who
Jyoti,
qualify.
Tabitha, Jean, no, Jyoti, Tabitha, Nirja, and myself. Right?
Yep,
And Ryan.
please vote. Ready. And now it's my extreme, supreme pleasure to call up Dan Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. I admired all of the talks given by our participants tonight. I'm going to see if I can give you a comment and a recommendation. Our first speaker was Tabitha. Her subject was, what did you learn from one of your parents? And the thing that I liked about Tabitha's talk is the way that she transitioned very smoothly from the quote that had been given more specifically to what she wanted to talk about in terms of her mother. The only recommendation I have for Tabitha is perhaps take a little more time at the beginning. It's sometimes it can result in a more organized talk. Your mileage may vary. The other good comment that I have for you is you had excellent eye contact. Very, very nice. Everybody felt that you were talking to them. Nirja was asked, what's good in life? What's important? What I'm going to commend Nirja for was knowing when to quit. She started out with family life and ran into a total dead end. And I admired that she just said, I'm going to talk about something else. Now, she ended up talking about what a beautiful day it was and walking backward. I would have liked to have seen that, actually. Probably you attracted a few stares as you walked down the street. We'll never know. I think the only recommendation I have for you is to move just a bit. You kind of parked here and spoke from there. If you just move a bit to here, that's a little more variety for your audience. Jyoti Raj talked about Michael Jordan. What I particularly liked about yours was that you kind of restated for us the bigger picture of what Michael Jordan was talking about. It was a detailed quote about all the failures, the specific failures he had. But then you said, what is failure? Failure is just a state of mind. So you took the quote and you kind of made it your own little talk. You framed it neatly at the beginning. That was very good. The only suggestion I've got for you is actually to remember to connect with your audience. Funnily enough, you spent about half your time looking at the Topics Master as you talked. So some of the rest of us didn't feel like we were getting the talk from you. But you had great gestures and really good vocal variety. And then finally, Ryan Prana, W.C. Fields, no use keeping on and being a fool. I thought it was particularly good that you were able to relate that concept directly to your life. You had a story about how you had tried to become a millionaire in a certain way. It didn't work, so you gave it up. So you had a good story that related to that. I also liked your description of day trading. For some reason, you just sort of gave me a good, clear picture in a succinct way of what a day trader is. And I don't have much in the way of a recommendation for you. I'm going to turn it back over to our Toastmaster, our general evaluator. She looks familiar. Jean Symington Craig.
All right. That was fun. By the way, you know that these meetings are out on YouTube. You know, you go Golden Speakers, Toastmasters. All right, we're heading into the holidays. You're gonna have family and friends over. Probably gonna eat, have some downtime. Bring them into your little study. So I wanna show you something. Have looked up in it, and find what some of your star moments, know where it is on the queue of the thing, and let it rip. Let them see you doing table topics or a speech that you did. Lock the door so they can't get out. If it's table topics, you probably don't have to lock the door, because by the time they figure out what's going on, it'll be over. But seriously, it is so fun to watch yourself on TV. It's great. And when Dan does these meetings every Saturday, he's working on it at our house, and I'll be sitting at my desk and I'm doing something, and then all of a sudden I hear myself. And I can't stand, I have to get up and come over and look at it and go like, oh, look, there we go. So just have fun with that. It's fun, and it's also educational, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, and you will see yourself doing something.
10,000 words.
Yeah, you'll see yourself doing something, and you'll go, oh, now I see what it looks like and what they're telling me. Okay? So it's a fun thing. You know, I get to see you guys too. I watch. Oh, there's Stuart doing his Roman thing. Henry doing the Grant Wood. Okay. Let's see, where are we? We are into, we need to check our evaluators and have a vote on those. So Madam Timer, could you just tell us the names, you don't need to give us the times, of the evaluators that qualified tonight? We have no evaluators qualifying, so that was Ryan Prana and Art and Dan.
Really?
Now, you gave them they can go 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah,
They were all over 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Taking rock, paper, scissors.
It was a conspiracy.
It's a tie.
It's a tie.
Tremendous con-
Now, I seem to remember this happening in one of the last meetings. Remember that? Those
I
of
do.
you, we had no qualifying evaluators.
Yeah, that's like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay. So I know we can make light and say like, well, okay, cup is half full. We did have good evaluations. However, people, time is a factor. So be sure you're watching the light. Did anyone go over 3 minutes, and did anyone get to 4 minutes? No, okay. All right. So evaluators, was there anything that you can add as to why you went over?
But keep it to 2 minutes. They talk too long.
I mean, did you, seriously, are you just feeling like you can't quite
I just think it
hold
was, I was just, personally, I was just, had a lot of digestion of the speech, and I thought there was a lot of information in the speech, and I didn't know exactly what to talk about, so I was just talking about everything. I just talked about as much as I
Okay.
could talk about, and I didn't really wanna, so just I think I needed a little bit more time to just look at the manual and read what I had written, or I could have just read it word for word. That would have helped maybe.
all of a sudden, 2 to 3 minutes is not very long
Yeah.
when you're also using the manual objectives. So you do need to be moving it along. It's great when you read the question so everybody hears what that is,
Yeah.
but keep yourself moving. Art, probably the same.
Yeah, first time I looked at the red light, it was on, and I said no, and I quit.
Okay. So sometimes if you have a bunch of introductory comments before you get to the manual objectives, that may throw you off. So if you want to put in a kudos to you, or this is something that I really liked about you, keep it moving, because that's where you may run out of time. And Dan Craig, what did he do? Well, he had 4 people. We can generally do 4 in 2 to 3 minutes. We might have given them a little extra time. Was he over by very much?
3 minutes and 49 seconds.
Oh, 19 seconds over, huh? Okay, so we see where we have our work cut out for us. The evaluations, we want thorough evaluations, but we want them within the time. That's the general evaluator speaking, but they were really good evaluations. They were really good. So quality is there, we just need to get it a little tighter. All right. So I guess we don't vote on evaluator tonight. Well, moving right along then. That was a pause of some sadness.
Oh.
But we've already been there. Okay, good. So now we're off. Let's hear the reports from our role players. And I know she just got me on that didn't you? I'm just checking to see. Let's have our timers report. Andal?
Dude was on time 9 minutes. And Emery's Styron 6 minutes and 48 seconds. Table topics, Tabitha 1 minute and 10 seconds. Nerja 1 minute and 36 seconds. Jyoti 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Ryan 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Evaluator, of course, I told earlier, but I was again let to read time. Ryan 3 minutes and 40 seconds. R 3 minutes and 32 seconds. Dan 3 minutes and 49 seconds. Thank you.
I thought she said 3:22.
3:32.
3:30.
Who was 332?
Art.
Art. Oh, Art, that's really good for you.
I know.
You win.
It's a moral victory.
Art is showing progress there. Okay.
I have been known to go way over. 2 seconds over is better
Yes,
than
that's really good. And knowing how to stop it when you see that red light. All right, good. Our grammarian is Rick Starr. Let's hear his report.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Starting off with Deward. Just want to make one comment between Deward and the other speech is both choices of language was very well tailored to the speech. Deward gave some fantastic use of vocabulary. Two things stuck out. One rose on a mountain of bodies in gold till he towered over all men, and the other euphoria of domination. And Emery, your language was much simpler, and I thought it was very well tailored to the painting style of the artist. Gave him overnight worldwide fame, and left us many iconic Iowa scenes. In table topics, Tabitha will always stand up for those who need it. Very dramatic. Nerja walking backward, uses different muscles. I really enjoyed that. Jyoti, take every step as a step towards your success. And Prana, day trading was going to be my get-rich-quick scheme. It didn't work. I counted 2 uses of the word stamina, one by Tabitha, one by Prana. If I missed any others, I apologize.
Yeah,
Did you have Deward?
Deward got it.
Actually, I think I have Deward. I do have Deward, and that's because someone else said it. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Okay, our main role player, and then we have our joke master. Is our counter, that's supposed to make you a little nervous, is Tabitha Sedgwick.
well, whichever it was, you remember. 2 repeats and 1 false start. Jyoti, 4 repeats. Ryan, 9 uhs or ahs, 1 1 you know, 1 so, 1 and, 1 repeat, 7 false starts. Art, 1 1 repeat and 1 false start. Emery, 6 uhs. Will, 1 1 so and 1 repeat. Nirja, 1 2 ums and 1 false start. I had 1 and a repeat, and that's the tally.
Great listening skills, Marion, an ah counter. Now it's time for a joke. And our joke master is Nirja.
Okay, today's joke is about a class. Teacher asks all the students, which one is more important to us, moon or sun? One of the students got up and said, moon. Teacher asked why. He said, moon gives us light when we need it at night, but sun gives us light during the day when we don't need it.
That's something to think about, isn't it? Very good.
Who said this?
It's such a joke.
A child in the classroom.
Yeah, I thought it sounded like a child's thing.
It's the wisdom of a child. General evaluator. My job is to primarily evaluate the evaluators. It's going to start with Ryan Prana evaluating Deward. One comment I want to make right from the beginning would be when you're doing an intro is not to get into this posture because you're not able to project and it looks a little strange. So if you're going to use something to give an introduction, make sure you're standing up and speaking out because you're wanting to give the audience confidence in the speaker and feel good about you. So that would be just one thing. But he used the manual objectives, which we talked about that a little bit, was very good, read them out. He demonstrated when he talked about Deward making gestures, he demonstrated gestures. He didn't just say he moved around and made gestures. He showed what those gestures are, and that's always a more powerful technique. He gave a suggestion, and he talked about clarity of the plot some way, and I've done that project before, and I think it's a subtle point. If you haven't done it, you may not have worked your way through it, but generally that project is a little bit about having a specific story that happened. So Caesar's, there's all the background and all that, and then it's like, but let me tell you about this one day when Caesar got out of bed and knew it was going to be a bad day. He was getting ready to go to the Senate, got off, but something something like there's a story that's in there, and that's where he got a little tripped up because he was saying, well, it talks about how were the characters developed and how did the plot move and like that. So that's what I think was trying to say. It's a little subtle. Did you have a chance to read the project before? Okay.
Yeah, briefly today, when I got to the meeting.
When you got to the meeting, okay.
Yeah.
So again, speakers, your job is to get your evaluator these projects ahead of time so they can read it and give good feedback. So Deward, that would be just something to work on for future, particularly these advanced ones because
That applies anytime the project isn't one of the first 10 in the company.
yeah, the advanced manuals, a lot of times people haven't heard it. Okay, so good job. Very good job. So my suggestion would be to just have that material read ahead of time and then be able to hone in on what that was.
Yep.
That thing that you were trying to hit on. Art, evaluating Emery, very complimentary on the timing. He starts positive, working with the PowerPoint. Also used the manual objectives. And he gave specific examples. So he talked about Emery using a variety of resources, for example, and then he listed what those resources were. So he's paying attention and he's giving specific examples back. He gave a suggestion to have the device able to be read so that the body's facing forward, and that's a very good suggestion. My suggestion to Art would be just to bring it in on time. 2 seconds, but still 2 seconds. But it was a very good evaluation, so I'm stretching here. Dan, table topics. Love the humor. Dan always brings a lot of humor into his evaluations, and he gave specific feedback to every person. And he gave a suggestion to every person. I really liked that Nirja said, oh, I didn't do so well, to me, sort of on the slide, and Dan said, no, she's very flexible, worked it, changed it up, and went with it. Sometimes that's what happens. Again, he did give all suggestions. I think he gave a positive and a suggestion. He didn't give a suggestion for Ryan Prana, but Ryan Prana's was pretty good. So maybe, but we always can find something. My suggestion to Dan would be to comment on, and any table topics evaluator, to comment on how the conclusion wrapped back to the opening. Because that's what we want to do. We want to have an opening statement, a body, and then a conclusion that wraps up. That's what looks really sharp. Okay. With that, where are we? With that, it's my turn and my privilege to call back up our Toastmaster for the evening, Dr. Rajanakari.
Okay, it's award time now. First, we'll do table topics. Table topic goes to Mia. For me. Thank you. And best speech, best speaker.
You win.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Stuart.
Hey, you guys get back up there again.
Do that again.
Do that again. Do that again.
So that he can photo it.
All right.
Candid.
Hold on. Okay, here we go.
Now, what would Caesar do?
I'm going to be serious trouble right now if it was Caesar. Okay, good.
Okay.
Go.
So this is for you, your review. Project 7.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay. So with that, I'd like to call upon our president, Jean Symington Craig, for her closing comments.
Okay. Well, this has been really fun. I'm just having a good time. I'm having a good time. You guys can do what you want. I don't have any guests to put on the spot. Anything? Do we have any club business right offhand? And we have, yep, Rick, our Vice President of Education.
Thank you. I just want to point out that Jean Symington Craig, our distinguished president, longtime Toastmaster, in fact, the recipient of the highest honor that Toastmaster can award, brought her manual, her competent leader manual to the meeting and had her role evaluated. This should be an example to all of us. Our club is kind of small now. We have roles every week. All of you cheap so-and-so should spend the $4, get another manual. And each time you come to the meeting, have someone fill it out for you. It's always good to have these because every year we have to submit our awards for the Distinguished Club Program, and having an extra manual or an extra competent leader or two doesn't hurt. So thank you very much, Jean, for doing this, and I encourage all of you to do this also. Thank you.
Thank you. And just while he's settling back in, our Vice President of Education walks his talk. I'm evaluating him for his grammarian role tonight. You may feel you've already done one of these, and so you've done, but these are the things we can have on inventory. I have one all ready to go that I haven't submitted yet, so I have one already in inventory, and now I'm working on another one. Just like we've talked about the Distinguished Club Program, we need these credits, and we just keep filling these up. If you haven't done one of these, then you definitely want that because you want that CL after your name. And people go, oh, you must be important because you're so-and-so and so-and-so, comma, CL, competent leader. And then when they say, well, what is that? And you go, competent leader, and they go, whoa, competent leader. You know. So, all right, great. So thank you for that, Rick. And just Rick has asked me to every week now, we're going to be getting closer and closer to our special event. Mark your calendars, February 2nd, Tuesday at the library. We have materials into the graphic designer who's going to be working on it starting tomorrow, he's told me. Our guest speaker is Corey May. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun and entertaining, and it'll be a great opportunity to invite people to come with you. And we'll have some roles. We're going to have some things going on. So just start feeling the juices flow on that one. And Rick is in charge of that, but it's a club event, so we will all be steering in certain ways as we get closer. Okay, yes, Art?
I'm thinking you might explain, if there's time. It's not, some of these club members may not realize this business of having awards in inventory, that phrase you were using, and how crucial that strategy has been towards keeping the club the #1 club in the state for so many years.
Yes. Okay, so very good. We will have, because we are about out of time, we will have a talk after our special event on the Distinguished Club Program and what these awards mean, so those of you that are new can really see what we're talking about. But if you can understand that having more things to hand in for awards is better than having less things to hand in for awards, that should suffice until we have that talk. Yes?
Just one point, the project number 6, organization and delegation, everyone is probably going to help out with the special event, and you can get credit for that in your manual.
Yes. Yes, and if you have your manual and you don't understand how to use it, bring it, talk to Rick or email Rick in between. He can talk to you because it is pretty simple, but it's just one of those things you just have to make yourself practice and do. Alrighty, so please stay and help clean up the room. I'm going to call the meeting and we'll see you next week.
Yay.